Welcome to Bad Gear, the show about the world's most hated audio tools. Roland is inarguably the greatest synth brand in history, but even die-hard fans like me have a hard time dealing with the miniscule displays, buzz-killing menu diving and product philosophies that seem like they were conceived after a 27-hour non-stop bender. Today we are going to talk about the MC202. This 1983 analog synth and sequencer not only might be the secret lovechild of an SH101 and TB303, it also appears to be the root of all the aforementioned evil. At the first glance, that's what we wanted Roland boutiques to actually look like. The military-style color scheme is not the only thing reminiscent of the SH101, the monophonic synth engine. With one envelope, one LFO, simple oscillator section, with PWM and raw filter, is very similar to the 1982 Classic 2. With a few exceptions we will have a closer look at in a minute. Tiny rubber keys aside, the primary method of triggering this engine is the built-in sequencer. In contrast to the soul-crushing UI nightmare that is the TB303, this archaic composer has a reputation of being even harder to operate. While the 303 is all about patterns, the 202 sequencer is linear, so you have to program everything in one go without being able to change patterns on the fly. Marvel at the satisfying confirmation tone. Enter a series of notes in pitch mode. Define step length in, you guessed it, step mode. And feel free to set note length independently in gate mode. Accent for volume and filter and portamento have their own dedicated buttons. And cycle lets you loop your compositional contraptions. A second sequencer lane lets you control external gear via CV and gate. Nice. Keep in mind that the MC202 has no non-volatile memory, so all your precious musical motifs will be gone once you turn off the unit, unless you made a backup using the tape interface first. Eurorack and vintage gear enjoyers will have noticed the external keyboard-in connectors. Although these look promising, there is a catch when it comes to triggering the synth using external controllers. As control data needs to pass through the prehistoric CPU of the machine, its cryptic quantization is seriously messing with the timing of your notes. I also didn't find a way to address portamento without the internal sequencer, so no epic solo lines for you. Apart from this, the 202 was born ready for all kinds of bleeps, bloops, rubbery basses, drums, and acidic synth lines. However, it is missing the LFO waveform choice, and, much more importantly, noise source of the grooviest guitar of all time. Given the rather fundamental limitations and disturbing lack of MIDI, it doesn't come as a surprise that multiple generations of synth heads tried to find ways to make the instrument more approachable. Many of the essential connections are easily accessible, so there are plenty of modifications ranging from bypassing the CPU when using the external CV gate ins to the powerful Tubotech kit that not only adds a high-res display but also changes the workflow profoundly, most probably for the better. MC202s can be found for prices in SH101 territory. Thanks to Philipp of Feedback Underground Studios for lending me one of his two 202s. An easy-to-use classic synth engine is locked away behind a seemingly impenetrable wall of arcane UI quirks and ancient interfacing standards. Is the little MC worth the hassle? You've already heard the 202 in today's intro tune. To my surprise, playing the main synth line while CB and gate worked like a charm. The other tracks, not so much, so I had to cheat a bit. Let's have a listen to some tones from the I have no idea what I'm doing phase. Semi-inspired melodies and sequencer-inflicted pain aside, that's some meaty bass tones. Due to the family resemblance, the synth engine will make you feel at home immediately. Programming the composer, on the other hand, can be a real challenge. I wanna know if we can create some more interesting synth lines and livelier sounds in the higher registers. That's much better. Although the composer is far from intuitive, you'll get the hang of it rather quickly, as long as you can live with a happy accident-only workflow. It makes a great pairing with the more straightforward patterns of its great-great-grandkid. Basic music theory skills and a sheet of paper might come in handy in case you want to program more specific musical ideas. Time to do the exact opposite when the synth line you just accidentally programmed on a machine that is as old as you is too complex for your compositional skills ARP and bass showcase. The MC202 is from a time when there was no real standard for how to design a sequencer, and the workflow is, let's call it, an acquired taste. However, its synth engine is a true vintage gem, and although I was missing some of the integral sound design facilities of the SH101, the current prices make sense in a market as crazy as this one, especially for a carefully modded unit. At least to me, the 202 is the original Roland boutique. Sound quality on par with more upscale instruments, plenty of mini jacks, a strangely compromised UI, and I'm pretty sure it was ridiculed by the synth traditionalists of yesteryear. Thanks for watching and see you next time! Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed the episode. Feel free to like, subscribe, become a patron and leave a comment what other kind of gear you would like to see and hear on the show.